Thank you. Yes.
This gentleman want to?
You could go ahead and go first, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Soswiko testified earlier, so I want to allow you to go first, and then Mr. Soswiko can speak again.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, senators, ladies and gentlemen. I am here in support of this bill. I think that it is it's time to decriminalize marijuana, in fact, legalize it for recreational use. My reasons for saying so, well, they're personal, actually. About 16 months ago, I was diagnosed with cancer and underwent treatment for that cancer off island, and then returned about 10 or 11 months ago. As a result of the treatment and the disease itself, you know, everybody's familiar with the impact of it, and I went through radiation and chemo and so forth. But when I returned, I was not so much mechanically incapable of eating, I just had no desire to eat. So I began my treatment at 230 pounds, and about 10 months ago I was down to 170 and falling. And it wasn't that it was painful to eat, it was just that I had no desire whatsoever to eat. And the weight kept dropping off, and the energy kept decreasing, and I was in a downward spiral, and I began using marijuana. Marijuana somehow, magically, flipped a switch in my head and made it palatable, it made it possible for me to eat again. And because of that, I began to gain weight. And when you begin to gain weight, you also begin to regain energy. And the recovery of the energy has led me so far to be in remission for a solid year, and I attribute that, it sounds perhaps a little overdramatic, but I attribute that in large part to the use of marijuana. And I don't think it's because I was in such a downward spiral. The fact that I am alive and here today, I attribute, at least in part, you know, obviously to great medical treatment, but also the use of marijuana, which allowed me to eat again. All of which sounds like an argument in favor of medicinal use of marijuana, which it is. But I think that the economic realities are such that, you know, one of the big problems with getting the medical marijuana underway was the fact that, you know, getting a lab to test the quality of the marijuana and so forth. I'm not sure that that would be economically viable here because we're a small community, and I can't imagine what the investment is in setting up such a lab. So be it. If you allow recreational marijuana, it will also allow people who are in my condition to use marijuana, and that extends to the people who are poor and uninsured, who have no access to medical care for a doctor's recommendation and so forth and so on. So I applaud you, Senator, and all the senators who are in support of this bill, as well as the Department of Agriculture, and I appreciate the fact that the Magahaga is also in support of this. It's time for this. It's both compassionate and it's also, well, we people can make a choice for ourselves, what we think is appropriate. So all I can say is, again, you know, had it not